Hello, welcome back to the SCW Wrestling Podcast. This is your bi-monthly LEP exclusive review of the past Sunday's show at the Wimwell Centre. And I'm joined this evening by the new General Manager of Limited Edition Pro Wrestling, none other than Mr. Jonjo Obrey. How are you this evening, Jonjo?
I am very well, George. Thank you. How are you?
It's Friday. It's the weekend. I'm very good. It's been a fantastic week for LEP, so to speak.
It's been an amazing week. Great show. Shame we couldn't have a nicer day today, but hopefully it brightens up tomorrow and I can get out of this bloody house. So that'll be nice.
Fingers crossed for that. No.
Let's hope so.
Let's get to it. So this past Sunday, LEP Fight Club, probably one of the most violent shows of the year for LEP. One word, chaos. What did you think of the show?
Well, I couldn't have put it better myself, George. I mean, chaos. It was absolute chaos. And like you say, it was our most violent show of the year. May make it a little annual thing, we don't know yet, but that's how well it went. So yeah, LEP Fight Club, you could see LEP Fight Club 2 next year. It'd be very interesting. So
yeah, definitely, that sounds really, really exciting. So let's get to it. So the show started with Vinny Clay coming out unannounced. Vinny Clay came out and taunted Jago, and Vinny Clay was getting really, really into it, and I think the crowd were getting into it. And from out of nowhere, from behind, came Jago. Jago actually creeped up behind him and delivered one of the most brutal power bombs off the top ropes. I thought it was really, really devastating and quite cunning. It fits sort of with what Dead Man's Hand and Jago are doing. What did you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I say unexpected. You kind of expect things like that to happen nowadays when Vinny's back's turned, or when anyone's back's turned. Really, someone seems to like to come out and jump everyone from behind. So, but yeah, I was in the ring when it happened, and devastating is definitely a word. It was just the thud as Vinny hit the mat was unbelievable. The power inside, the enforcer is it's amazing. Like, as you can tell, just thinking about it, I'm still speechless now. It was, Vinny should have been driven through that mat, but yeah, Vinny was really into what he was saying. He was starting feeling the emotion. You could feel the energy from the crowd as well. There's a lot of emotion involved in that speech he gave. But yeah, one question has kind of been on my mind, which I'm yet to ask everyone, but where the hell was everyone? He came from the LEP entrance, not being funny, but the boys are in the locker room. Where, you know what I mean? Why did no one spot him?
Yeah, I think that's maybe something for the LEP roster and yourself to find out, basically. But no, clearly, once Jago delivered this powerbomb, he was talking to Vinny like a piece of crap. He was talking to him really, really bad and taunting him. Somehow or another, Vinny did get up, but he did appear to be injured. So that was rather daunting for me in the crowd, worrying if he was actually going to make their match later in the show. Were you worried about Vinny's state of health and stuff before sort of their match?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, the thud when he crashed into that canvas, it was horrendous. I mean, Jago's a big guy. He must be, 6'1", 6'2". So you add Vinny on top, you're looking at a near 6'8", 7 foot drop, and it wasn't just a drop, it was a slam, it was a power bomb. And Jago's known for, not knowing his own strength, and that's what makes him such a great asset. And, you can tell just by what he did, you didn't know whether Vinny was going to make that hardcore match or not.
Definitely. So Vinny called out, basically wounded. We then went on to sort of the Academy champion, Shane Palmer, coming out. Shane came out and he basically said that he wanted to get to the bottom of whoever this masked wrestler was that basically cost him a clean match against Romany Rocco at the last show. What did you make of sort of this and sort of the intensity in Shane Palmer? I've never seen Shane Palmer look so angry.
Yeah, you could tell he was, he was ticked off. There was a lot of anger inside him, and he wanted to get hold of this guy, or it could be a woman. We don't know. We just don't know. We're still looking into it. But yeah, there was a lot of like you say, fire and intensity behind Shane that night, and it was just it was a shame that that this masked person didn't reveal themselves that night.
Yeah, I was in the crowd thinking we're finally going to find out who it is, and then some familiar music hit. None other than Johnny Sicko came out, and I'm thinking, Johnny Sicko, he's not a junior, and you're sort of thinking that Johnny Sicko came out, strolled out, confident, And what did you think? I thought it was well out of place for Johnny Sicko to sort of come in. Clearly, this is a junior academy junior champion. Johnny Sicko is a heavyweight. It wasn't really sort of a place he should have been, really.
Well, no, I mean, we were kind of stood in the ring in his music kit, and I knew instantly it couldn't have been, Johnny that attacked. It could have been, in terms of, he's sick enough to do it. That's in his name. That's in his nature. But we know it wasn't him. So with him coming out, I wasn't too sure why. And like you said, he didn't really have any place being there. He's a heavyweight compared to Shane, who's, he's still a junior wrestler. He's junior academy champion.
Yeah, definitely. What I thought when I was in the crowd, I thought that maybe Johnny had sort of manipulated somebody to do his biting, so to speak. But no, clearly Johnny Sicko came out. He said to the Phoenix Shane Palmer, he went and said, "You're a nasty piece of work. I don't like you. I could beat you anytime." And then before it really got heated, another piece of music hit, and none other than returning British thug Scott Johns came out. Clearly, this guy, following the triple threat match that he was previously in, was a machine. He's totally out of control. He looks like he's lost his mind even more. When the British thug came out, what did you think?
I didn't know what to think. He's unhinged. Is Scott Johns? He got right up in my face. He did threaten me while I was in the ring, which are very intimidating up close. And yeah, I didn't know what he was going to do. Whether he was going to turf Shane or whether he was going to turf Sicko or turf both of them. But no, he ended up joining, forces with Johnny Sicko, and it looked like Shane was in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, definitely. The way that Johnny Sicko recruited Scott Johnslow was almost like a piece of art. It was basically going to him, we can be friends, we can do this. Johnny Sicko has never been nice to anybody, so you could tell that he really feared the British thug. And when you sort of see them two together, it looked like Shane Palmer was clearly outnumbered. He was in trouble. I was really worried for him. But then we had some familiar music. Outstepped LEP head coach Danny Walsh. And I'm thinking the fight's going to be on. This is going to get even. What did you think when Danny came out?
Oh, he's, his music hit, and I thought, thank God, if you ask me, that's what I thought. Thank you for someone coming out and stepping up against these two bullies, because that's what they were doing. They were bullying Shane Palmer, trying to intimidate him. They just wanted an easy fight that night, easy paycheck, and Danny made it a lot harder to earn that money.
Yeah, definitely. We then had our first match of the evening, so it was a tag team match, which was the two versus each other. And we then basically had the match largely was having Shane Palmer being outnumbered. Johnny Sicko and the British thug were particularly callous attacking. They thought that he was the easy target, Shane Palmer. One of the particularly most lethal parts of the move was when the British thug Scott Johns literally launched Shane Palmer into the ring post. That sound was sickening. You could hear it all the way across the arena. What did you think of that moment?
Well, yeah, I could hear it at the back of the room. Let's put it that way. So, referee should have checked on him, I'll be honest, but he was too busy dealing with whoever was in the ring, too busy dealing with Sicko. But yeah, it seemed like, even though Danny had come out, the saviour, so to speak, they still managed to isolate Shane, and Danny was on the outside for a very long time. He didn't get into that match for a very long time.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the isolation included the British thug Scott John doing a big splash on Shane, which I didn't know how the hell he kicked out. You had Johnny Sicko once again trying to break someone's hand. He tried to break Shane's hand. What is this, off the record now, what is his obsession with Johnny Sicko trying to break people's hands? That does seem to be his favourite thing at the moment, doesn't it?
Well, like I said, what's the first word you associate with the snap of fingers or hearing the breaking of fingers? Sick. It's in his name. It's in his nature. He'll do anything to hurt anyone. If he can, he knows how to inflict pain where you didn't think you'd get pain. So that obsession with snapping of fingers, he'd snap your neck if he could. If it was legal to do so inside it, he would snap your neck if he could. So it's just in his nature, George, to be honest with you. He's a sick man, Johnny Sicko.
He's definitely sick. He's definitely a dangerous man. Some of the other highlights of the match, the British thug executed a running mafia kick in the corner on Shane Palmer. That was an absolute lethal move. I was amazed Shane was still standing after that. We also had a couple of other moments when Shane Palmer managed to execute a flying forearm and get some momentum. And finally, there was some sort of turnaround. Finally, Danny Walsh came in, and finally there was some sort of fix to the solution, really, because I was really, really worried. And you could tell that sort of Danny was eager to get in there. Even during the match, Scott had pulled Danny out from the back. They were that sort of callous, Sicko and the British thug that I really thought that sort of Shane Palmer and Danny Walsh's card could be numbered, though. But the match ended when Danny Walsh was able to execute basically a pedigree, and that was like a massive, massive win, I thought, for Shane Palmer and Danny Walsh. What did you make of the ending and sort of the victory for them?
Yeah. Big win for Shane. Big win for Danny as well. But I think Shane being a junior, I think it was a massive win for him, and him teaming up with his head coach as well. I think that was also a massive moment within itself. Because Shane's been with LEP from day one. The day it opened, he was down there and he was ready to train. So yeah. Him and Danny go back a few years, and he's trained him since he was 12, 13.
Wow.
And yeah, Danny's infamous pedigree is devastating as always. And I'm not going to take anything away from Johnny Sicko or Scott Johns either, because they worked really well together, like a well-oiled machine, because they're both, even though Scott doesn't like anyone, they kind of put their differences aside and they showed each other that they're not actually that different.
No, definitely. I think that could be potentially a scary tag team if they form ever again. But no, we then went on to match number 2. This has been building for a while. So this was Clean Violence versus Ruthless Aggression, and this was Ruthless Ruth Jackson with a manager, the War Machine Sam Sermon, versus Adira. What did you think of sort of the history and the build to this match?
Well, it was, again, great to see Adira. She was sorely missed from LEP. So, it was great having her back. And there was a lot of hype and a lot of build up towards this match. And boy, did it live up to the expectation. I could hear the forearm shot from either. It doesn't matter who it was. It was Adira, whether it was Ruth Jackson. It doesn't matter. The shots I could hear at the back of the room, and they were just forearms, just think of the kicks. They really didn't hold back in that match.
No, definitely. I think clearly a couple of highlights of the match. You had Ruthless Ruth Jackson continue trying to get Adira off her feet. She just got in. Adira's getting more and more angry, telling Ruth to hit her. And clearly some of the shots you could hear the whole way across the arena, so to speak. Adira executed a Death Valley driver for a 2 count. Adira literally sort of was busy. I think the biggest problem in this match was the War Machine. Unfortunately, he got involved. He continually was getting involved. It was almost like a handicap match. And somehow or another, the referee got knocked out. And then the War Machine chucked a chair in, and Ruth hit Adira with probably one of the hardest chair shots I've ever heard. That was a travesty. What do you think?
Yeah, it was horrible to watch, to be honest with you, George. I mean, the referee, this is the reason why I'm glad I'm not a referee anymore, okay? He took a spear from Adira. I don't know how he managed to come out half hour later and do another match, but yeah, so he took a wicked, I mean, if you've ever taken anyone listening to this, and if you've ever taken a spear off Adira, you'll know what I'm talking about. It hurts. And I mean, it hurts. It feels like she's literally breaking you in half. So, but yeah, once again, War Machine got involved. Like you said, he slid the chair in and enabled Ruth to get the win. So yeah, I'm not very happy with War Machine, to be honest with you.
I'm going to put this to you. You're meant to be a general manager now. Surely, though, this can't carry on, this type of debauchery and sort of continual interference from the War Machine. The $1 million question people are now asking are, can Ruthless Ruth Jackson get the job done on her own? What do you think?
Maybe it's worth finding out, George. Maybe it is worth finding out whether Ruthless Ruth Jackson can handle things on her own, without War Machine in the ring. So, I may be general manager, but there are also, we are a committee as well. So I'll have to discuss it with the likes of Danny and the other members of the committee. But we'll look at definitely banning Sam Sermon from ringside.
Yeah, definitely. So August 27th, it's going to be Adira versus Ruthless Jackson, Chapter 2. I really hope, as you said earlier, that the War Machine is banned. I think a hardcore match would be good to see, because clearly these two hate each other and there's so much hatred there. But I think if Sam Sermon's there, I think there should be a consequence. Maybe you could put Sam Sermon in a cage, or maybe you could sort of put him somewhere under the ring, or some sort of consequence. I'm sure Adira, if you asked, would make it a handicap match, voluntary, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not fully, I will say, it's not fully confirmed yet, Adira versus Ruth Jackson. That's another thing we've all got to discuss, because it is it's a case of Ruth likes to have different opponents each time. You know, she's had Reggie. Now she's going on. You know, she's had Adira. You know, she might want someone fresh. So it might be good to do that, and maybe you know, have Adira do the same, or the feud could continue. We don't know. I mean, so we'll see what happens there. But I personally would love to see it. I'm definitely considering making another match.
Awesome, that's exciting for all the fans of LEP. We then went on to sort of the number one contender to the Academy title. We had Reggie Ryan come out basically, and what did you sort of? He came out, he got the crowd going. Clearly, the people love him, and the mood was really, really good. And then none other than the reject Blake Harrison, the LEP Academy champion, came out, and the mood went downhill rapidly. What do you make of sort of Reggie getting the fans like sort of excited, and then Blake sort of killing the momentum straight away?
It's Blake's thing. He knows how to depress the crowd. I will say that, because he depressed me when he come out. You know, Reggie looking good, was looking fun, looking his normal self, jumping around. You know, and then Blake's music hit, and you know what followed after that was horrendous to hear. Now, right. A lot of things have been going about now. Blake basically he came out, and you know, he started talking about this puppy he had when he was little. You know, for all those who weren't at the show, I'm gonna give you basically how this story went. Blake comes out, so he had this little puppy. You know, he called him Dexter, and you know, he was fun. He was always, you know, he referred to him a lot like Reggie. And yeah, so he then went on to, you know, basically say he took him on a walk down by the favourite spot, the river. He got fed up with him because he became annoying and a horrible little creature, as he put. Shoved him in a bag full of bricks and chucked him in a river. So he basically admitted to everyone that he killed his puppy, George. Basically, he killed Dexter.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
I mean, what kind of sick man kills a puppy?
Yeah, totally disgusting. I think the reject's gone to new lows. It doesn't surprise me. Clearly, you can tell why he's so dark and why he's part of Dead Man's Hand, doing stuff like that. And
that lad's got issues, man. That was, you know, it was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I think he needs help. Clearly, he's the Academy champion, unfortunately, but no, he definitely needs help. I think clearly an iconic point of that is when he compared Reggie Ryan to Dexter, he said Reggie Ryan will basically drown. I thought that was a real callous comparison. What did you think?
Yeah, you know, whether he was referring to Reggie, his career, it doesn't matter. Basically, he was saying to Reggie, you know, you're not going to last long, especially against me tonight. That was what Blake was trying to get across, I believe. I'm hoping he didn't kill his puppy, but I believe Blake would go that far.
Oh,
you know,
worrying.
Sick and twisted. I do believe he'd go that far.
Yeah, no,
so
definitely.
Everyone out there who's listening to this, if you are in this, please hashtag pray for Dexter. I want to see it trending. I want to see it all over. Pray for Dexter.
Definitely
Blake needs to know what he's done.
No, definitely. Every time he comes out now, I think we should definitely pray for Dexter and give Blake a really hard time.
Definitely.
100%, definitely. We're now going into one of the matches of the night. This was building for many, many months. This was the hardcore match versus Jago versus Vinny Clay. So Jago with Dead Man's Hand versus Vinny Clay the Firm, form of best friends. And this you could just feel the atmosphere before the match. There was a sense of anticipation. I think a lot of people wanted to see it. Clearly, following the match they had previously in Newton Abbott, where nobody was actually able to control the wrestlers, you could tell they both hate each other so much. What did you make of sort of the build up to this match and sort of the atmosphere before it?
Yeah, you could so much tension backstage. You could tell Vinny, he's tough, but you know, Jago isn't normal. Not anymore, anyway. You know, he was a monster anyway, but he's become a monster, not physically but mentally. So I think Vinny preparing for this match, you know, he was prepared enough, I think, but you could still feel the nerves backstage. Which, to be honest with you, you know, he may not tell you this, but that he was nervous. He may not admit that, but anyone would be. You know, this is the enforcer Jago. You know, I'm intimidated by him whenever he comes out. You know, I don't want to be anywhere near him. You know, so yeah, there was tension backstage. There was nerves, but we had every faith in Vinny that he could do it.
Definitely,
that he could take out the enforcer.
Yeah, definitely. I think clearly you could tell the intent on people. Jago came out with a baton, and you could just tell that he was intending to injure Vinny like many months like he'd done before when he was under Dead Man's Hand's control, so to speak. But no, the match started. Jago delivered a slam buster into the corner. They brawled around the outside. Jago literally launched Vinny into the rim post, which was another sickening shot you could hear across the ring. Jago was able to hit Vinny with a bin lid. Jago then got the table. He then set the table up. And he then basically they were then brawling around the table. You never know who was going to go through it. Vinny grabbed the bin and hit Jago around the head for a near fall. Somehow or another, Vinny Clay hit an RKO, which was his finisher, 2 count. Another RKO. Jago somehow got his bearings and rolled out. Vinny Clay once again attacked Jago with a snooker cue. And once again, they went at it with a bin lid. The match then changed when Jago hit a low blow. And then Jago then basically threw Vinny through a table. And literally, I don't know how Vinny was able to kick out again on the 2 count. And we then went to basically them two just brawling. Somewhere or another, these two ended up bleeding. Both of them were bleeding. Jago hit Vinny with a metal sheet for another near fall. And basically, even Jago was using his shoe just to get Vinny. I don't know what instructions he's had from the Puppet Master, the Master of Shadow, Dead Man's Hand. Jago was sent there for a mission to destroy Vinny Clay. I think that's pretty clear, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, the shots that Jago was throwing, you could tell he was told end him. It was as simple as that. That's what I could gather from the shots that Jago threw, not just punches, but with the weapons. They were getting their hands on anything. There were 2 tables used. They both went through one each. There were 3 RKOs in total. There was a splash. There was just so much. It was unbelievable. And like you said, there was a point where the enforcer Jago used his shoe to hit Vinny with. It was that brutal that they were both bleeding by the end of it.
I've definitely got.
But I've got to say, I've never seen it before where a man has taken Vinny's RKO and pretty much stood up as soon as he took it. He rolled over to his front and he stood up. And yeah, bearing in mind he took it again, but then he rolled out the ring. He was still up. He was still ready to fight. 2 RKOs, George, and Jago was still ready to fight.
The guy is a machine. I was going to say, I think one of the highlights of the match was the second time they went for a table. Vinny Clay's on the top ropes, and I've never seen anything like it. Jago literally grabbed Vinny by the arms and literally launched him off the ropes, over his shoulders, through the table. It was like a bit like a D'Lo Brown lowdown, but off the top rope. That was an absolute brutal move to see, and I'm amazed Vinny was in one piece after that. What did you think of that move? That was move of the night, surely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. It was insane. I didn't know, because the way it was, I thought, well, this looks like a reverse crucifix, because Jago had Vinny held up by both arms, but Vinny was facing the same way as Jago. So I thought, well, it's not a crucifix powerbomb, and if it is, he's going to land dead bloody first here. And then all of a sudden, you just see Jago flip Vinny over his head, straight came crashing through the. I thought that was it. I thought that was it for Vinny. I thought Jago had taken it, but it was like a 2 9/10. It was unbelievably close.
I'm amazed he kicked out. I was going to say, Vinny did somehow get his momentum back and hit the switch in music, and then somehow or another, Vinny was able to hit another RKO for the win. What did you make? Vinny Clay here, the Mad Dog, your winner in this hardcore match. What did you make of the victory?
I tell you, I was very impressed, because I'm not going to take, as much as I can't stand the guy, I can't take anything away from Jago in terms of how vicious and brutal he was in that hardcore match. And for Vinny to actually, walk away, I had all my faith in Vinny before the match. All of my faith was in Vinny. I was like, Vinny is going to do this. He's going to take down Jago. He's going to win one for LEP, finally. It got halfway through the match, and I started to lose that little bit of faith. And it wasn't the fact that I couldn't believe Vinny could do it, but Jago was that brutal and that violent. I didn't think Vinny was going to be able to walk, or stand up, or be able to carry on fighting. That's how brutal and violent that Jago can be. And I don't know whether the Master of Shadows or Puppet Master or Master, whatever he's called, I don't really care. He seems to be able to control people, because Jago never used to be like this. He used to be tough. He used to be violent if he needed to be. He wouldn't be violent for the sake of being violent.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was going to say to you, $1 million question really. Were you surprised that Dead Man's Hand and the Master of Shadows didn't get involved in this match? I really thought that, trust their previous form, previous traits, that they're bound to try and get involved.
I must admit, they missed an opportunity. They missed a big opportunity to try and take out Vinny that night. But I don't know. Maybe they thought Jago could do it. If I was them, I would have thought Jago could do it. I mean, the size of him, the violent streak in him. But no, Vinny overcome the odds that were stacked against him, which those odds were Jago. But yeah, I believe that Dead Man's Hand should have come out and interfered, and then maybe they would have had a different result. But no, I'm happy. We got one back for LEP. We got a win against Dead Man's Hand. We got a win against Jago, and Vinny finally got his revenge.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great. I think much like our review last month, you did say to the Master of Shadows, please don't turn up. LEP will win if you don't turn up, and it's rather miraculous. I think that worked. So please do that again in future.
I think I'm going to have to say that a bit more because if he like we've always said, if he doesn't turn up, things go bloody wrong. Everything goes wrong. So once again, any other time you want to stay at home, Mr. Master of Shadows, please stay at home.
Definitely,
because we win.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, more positive news for LEP in future. We then had a shocking announcement. Some rather sad news. Obviously, 24 hours previously before this event, Jason Kidd had been on social media saying there was a massive announcement, earth-shattering announcement with LEP. We've had some very sad news. The current LEP champion, heavyweight champion, Luke Phoenix, was going to vacate the title, and there was going to be an 8-man tournament to declare a champion. What did you make of this news? I thought it was really, really sad.
Yeah, I'm good friends with Luke, with Luke Phoenix. I always say that just a fantastic wrestler. Guys, if you haven't checked him out, anyone who's listening to this, if you haven't checked him out, please check out Luke Phoenix. He's had various matches all over the country. He went on a hiatus for round about 7 to 10 years, but he's back better than ever. He has fought literally about 5-6 months into coming back. Marty Scurll, he's been taking on Dick Riley. There are loads of big names that he's been going against, and that he's been making a name for himself once again. And yeah, unfortunately, due to we basically at LEP, we need and want a regular LEP champion. And okay, we've got a regular LEP Academy champion. That's great, but we want the big main event attraction back. And due to it's nothing personal between Luke and LEP, nothing personal whatsoever. It's a mutual decision. Everyone sat down and it was discussed, and Luke and Danny came to an agreement that Luke should vacate the title due to his outside commitments with various other big promotions all over the country. So you will, for anyone who's listening to this from over the country, Luke Phoenix, look out for him, especially at 4FW. 4FW is a fantastic promotion. I'd check them out, really check them out. And Luke Phoenix features there a hell of a lot. So if you want to see him, I know that's one place he will be. And yeah, like we said, unfortunately he had to vacate the title. But following that, some good news. An 8-man LEP Championship tournament, which will be starting in Paignton and a Great Parks Community Centre in Paignton on the 13th of August. That's when our LEP heavyweight tournament will start. Also, just while we're on the subject of August 13th, the tag team tournament hasn't been forgotten about. That will be August 13th as well. But yeah, so in terms of the LEP Championship, yeah, we'll start August 13th at Great Parks Community Centre, Paignton. We're looking at some big names. We've got a lot of names we need to filter down. There are only 8 spots, so we're either going to have some qualifying matches, or if we feel that we've got 8 deserving contenders straight away, that's what we'll do. We'll pick them out of a hat and we'll seed them properly.
I'm going to put something out there. This is sort of off the record as well. So clearly there was a massive amount of noise yesterday on social media from the Mad Dog Vinny Clay saying he's asked to be in the tournament and you as general manager are refusing him. Why do you think Vinny won't be a good choice for the tournament?
It's not that I think he won't be a good choice. He's a fine choice, don't get me wrong. But I feel that, Vinny has a lot going on at the moment. He has a lot. I know he's dealing with dead man's hand.
On his own.
There's been a lot of people saying that LEP are treating Vinny Clay poorly. And if that's because he's not going into the championship tournament, then okay, so be it. But we're not treating him poorly at all, whatsoever. Now, I want to take you back 9 months and say that if I remember correctly, when Dead Man's Hand started showing up, they weren't looking at Vinny Clay. They were looking at us. They were looking at LEP in general. They weren't looking for one guy. Vinny was the one to call them out. I hate to say it because me and Vinny get on really well backstage. We're really good friends. But I can't, as a general manager, I can't do this as friends. I need to look at this from a business and a professional point of view. And the way I see it, it doesn't matter if people agree with me or disagree with me. It doesn't matter. I need to get this across. Now, there are only 8 spots. And Vinny, okay, he's been making a name for himself and everything like that. But he is only just starting out. He's still fairly green, and I'm gonna go out there and say it. And he may not like me saying that. A lot of people may not like me saying that, but he is. He's still starting out. He's a year and a half into his career, maybe coming up to a stretch 2 years. But he debuted last January, I believe. He debuted so a year and a half is what I'm looking at that he's been wrestling. So if I was to put him in, then that means I may have to take out one of the guys that have never had an opportunity, who have been doing this for 8 years, or have been doing this for 10 years, for 12 years. Now, if I was to take them out and put in someone that was only a year and a half into their career, to me, that's disrespectful. He's deserving, don't get me wrong. He does deserve, a championship opportunity. I just don't think that this tournament is the time for Vinny Clay. There may be a time once we have a brand new champion, we may have Vinny step up to the plate and have him go against that new champion. But for now, I want to give it to the guys who haven't had a chance in their career, who haven't held the LEP heavyweight title or who haven't had a shot in their long 8, 10, 12, however many year career to be a heavyweight champion.
Okay, I'm not too sure I agree with a lot of your logistics. I understand you're in a very stressful position, but I would say Vinny Clay single-handedly has been the one man trying to stop Dead Man's Hand taking over LEP. I don't think you guys are giving him enough credit. I have to say that before we go into the review. We go on to a totally different tangent. I do think that clearly it's up to you who's in the tournament, but I think Vinny Clay's come up with a massive win off Jago. I think he has to be in it. He's single-handedly the only man trying to stop Dead Man's Hand before the last show, really.
No, that's fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. I just feel, from a business point of view, and like I say, from a professional point of view, one, you don't get anywhere from demanding a match, for demanding to be in that picture. Vinny could have kept quiet, and maybe I would have put him in there, but I don't. The thing is, people do not get anywhere by demanding, and that is exactly what he did when he put it up on Facebook. He said, I should be in this. I should, the firm we've been dealing with Dead Man's Hand. We've been trying to take them out. I've been the one who's solely been doing it. Yeah, that's fair enough. But that doesn't mean you've earned a championship opportunity just because you've been taking on masked people, or just because you're starting to demand it because you're not getting the recognition you deserve. When there are a lot more professional wrestlers in this business that haven't had a chance. Vinny, I hate to say it, we're good friends, and I will only speak the truth to you. And I know you're going to be listening to this, but just wait for the announcement. You never know, you may be shocked, but don't demand anything. We still look at you, we still regard you as one of the best wrestlers in LEP today. That I'm not taking anything away from you. But like I say, there are 8 spots. There are only 8 spots, and there are a lot more wrestlers who haven't had an opportunity at a heavyweight title ever in their career, who should have been a multiple champion by now. I think it would be disrespectful to them to put you in it.
Okay, I think me and you are probably going to fall out, so let's get off the subject. I'm not liking the way this is going, but I understand the hard decision you've got to make But no, let's get back onto the subject. I don't really agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I don't want us to fall out, and I think that's the way this is going. I think we're from totally different, looking at it from totally two different sides. So let's just move on back to the show, if that's okay, Jonjo.
Yeah, that's fine.
Brilliant. Okay, so we then had the main event Academy title, and that was Reggie Ryan versus the reject Blake Harrison. Clearly, this has been one of the most anticipated matches in LEP history. And Reggie Ryan was something different. Blake Harrison never faced, if that makes sense. And clearly, this match started with a lot of chain wrestling. Reggie pulled off an arm breaker. Blake did a leg drop. Reggie hit the suplex. And he also did a few other bits as well. There was also another good moment when Reggie came out. He brought a nice poster that said, "Pray for Dexter," which I thought was really nice and really got the crowd going, if that makes sense. What did you make of sort of the opening moments of this match?
Yeah, you could feel the tension between the two. You could feel the anger between the two. Yeah, it was nice for Reggie to bring out a sign, pray for Dexter. That was good. I really liked that. The crowd seemed to like it too. Dexter got a little chant through the match. But yeah, there was a lot of anger going into this match from Reggie and from Blake.
Yeah, I really thought at one point Reggie executed a spike DDT for the 2 count. I really thought Reggie had it won at one point. Someone or another, Blake then chucked the referee into the ropes. Blake issued a suplex off the top rope, and someone or another referee came out. It was 2 count, but then it looked like Reggie was basically going to pick up the win. Reggie executed a coast to coast for the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. I thought we had a new Academy champion. Then all of a sudden, just as I was about to celebrate, the referee restarted the match. What did you make of that decision?
It's tough because obviously we wanted the title back in LEP, within the LEP roster. If we're going to look at it straight down the middle, if we're just going to disregard Blake as who he is and Reggie as who he is, if we just look at it as 2 normal wrestlers, then yeah, the referee made the right decision. However, when you look at it as what Blake's like, he could have, he may have noticed the foot. Okay, well, he could have ignored it. He could have ignored the fact Blake had his foot on the rope and pretended not to notice. But I'm not going to take anything away from the referee. He was professional in what he did. He did restart the match. But yeah, unfortunately, Blake found a way. And when he decided to rip the turnbuckle pad, and while the referee had his back turned trying to deal with that, he gave Reggie a low blow, and then it was a jaw-crushing big boot to the face. It was unbelievable. So much power behind that kick.
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately, Blake was then able to pick up the win and retain the Academy title. And clearly that wasn't all, though. After the match, Jago came out. I don't know how he was still standing, but he called out. And he was about to join the reject Blake Harrison in beating down Reggie Ryan. Then from out of nowhere, you look at the side, Dead Man's Hand music hits. And a third member comes out. And this person, we've seen him. I think he's been there during the early days of Dead Man's Hand. We saw him at the Super Show as well. And there was an unmasking. None other than the British thug, Scott Johns, is now part of Dead Man's Hand. What did you make of that unmasking? I was shocked.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was very shocked. I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, now they've got Jago and Scott Johns. Could have really done with Scott Johns on our side, to be honest with you, with LEP, but no, he's within that group of masked goons. But yeah, I was really, really shocked by Scott Johns when he removed that mask.
Yeah, I think we're noticing a regular pattern. So I've interviewed quite a few of these wrestlers. So I interviewed the reject, Blake Harrison, and I asked him, I got him to swear that he wasn't part of Dead Man's Hand. He joined them. I interviewed Scott Johns previously, and he was basically adamant that he wasn't going to join him. He took orders from nobody, but yet he is. It's a bit of a weird pattern, isn't it? These people are promising they're not part of Dead Man's Hand, and then all of a sudden, whatever the puppet master, Master Shadows, is saying to them, seems to basically get them on side. These people are uncontrollable as well, the ones he's recruiting generally. What do you think's been said?
I dread to think. It's one of those where it seems like a very cult-like theme going on, if you get me. Where there's always a master manipulator, and they tend to brainwash the people who follow them. and that seems to be what's going on. And it's very scary to think that someone can control another human being like that.
Definitely, I think considering that this person's in the shadows, we haven't seen them for 2 or 3 shows, and they've totally gone off social media this week almost. It seems like they're planning something even bigger, which is kind of worrying for me. But no, clearly Dead Man's Hand before the show had been teasing there was a massive shock and a massive surprise to come. Outstepped Vinny Clay as well, and Vinny Clay had promised 24 hours before that he had an ace up his sleeve. So originally you're thinking, oh god, it's going to be Scott Johns, Jago, and the Reject beating down Vinny Clay and Reggie. It's not a fair fight. Clearly, Vinny had already been in this hardcore match, and then outstepped the returning Mark Walsh. What did you make of that?
I was very, very, very happy to see Mark step through that curtain. I didn't even know he was there. No one knew he was there. You know, Vinny says he had an ace up his sleeve. I don't even think he knew that Mark was going to be there. So I don't think Mark was the ace up his sleeve, the way things went after that, because it looked as though Vinny didn't have a clue. We didn't have a clue. No one knew Mark was there. We knew that he'd been teasing about returning 2018. Well, obviously, we're still in 2017, and he's come back 6 months before we thought he was due to come back. So, you know, for that is a massive, massive gain for LEP, and I love the fact that Mark's back. You know, ready to, you know, we've got another soldier, you know, waiting to take on Dead Man's Hand. Or well, not waiting, ready to take on Dead Man's Hand.
Definitely a massive acquisition for LEP, but it makes sense. Clearly, back in October at Saltash, Mark Walsh was beaten 5-1 down. And clearly, I think it's great that Mark still holds that grudge. And I think we're now getting to the point with Dead Man's Hand where we know quite a lot of who they are now, and that's making things a lot easier for LEP to try and track with these people. The only thing I would say to the LEP roster, and yourself as a general manager, clearly you now know who these people are. Surely you should be letting them in the building unless they've got a match.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you know, the thing is, these guys, you've got to remember that these guys, before they joined Dead Man's Hand, whenever it was they were recruited or whether they joined willingly, they were all contracted under LEP. They still have LEP contracts. There isn't actually anything we can do to stop them getting in the building due to those contracts, unless we want a lawsuit on our hands. It would be breach They are still employed by us. They still have, you know, we haven't got the cash to be able to pay out to them, you know, if they want to, you know, with breach contract or whatever it's called, you know. So this is what's difficult for us. We're, you know, by the time their contract's up, we should be able to do something. But until then, there's nothing we can actually do apart from try and stop them from, you know, turning up and interfering in matches.
Definitely. I think the worst thing of all to me is I feel that there's more to come. There's more people we don't know that potentially we all like that are going to be sort of bad and stuff like that. Do you have any sort of...
Well, the problem, I will say, the problem we have is, you know, to bring people in. We don't know who's a part of Dead Man's Hand. We're worried to bring people into LEP. That's how worried we are, because anyone could be Dead Man's Hand. And this is what we're worried about.
Yeah, definitely. Going on then, so Mark Walsh came back. He cleared the ring, and then he shook hands with Vinny Clay. Vinny Clay and Mark Walsh then challenged Dead Man's Hand to a match August 27, the Windmill Centre. Any two members of Dead Man's Hand. It looked like you could see that sort of the rejects, Jago and Scott Johns, like beating men. I've never seen Dead Man's Hand cower. Is this the first time Dead Man's Hand sort of has shown weakness you've ever seen?
There was a look in Mark's eyes I've never seen before, and maybe that's what they saw in Mark. Yeah, it was good to see them look worried. It was good to see them look nervous. Blake especially. I've never seen Blake look like that. Scott and Jago, you know, maybe because of their size and how big they are, they thought, you know, well, this guy, all right, whatever. You know, we might have a tough time, but we can still take him out, that kind of thing. And they were the first ones to get in there and try and take out Mark. But no, Mark had everything. He blocked every shot, took them down, and then it was just Blake and Mark. And I've never seen Blake look like that. I've never seen him dominated like that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it goes to the point we said earlier in the podcast. The Martial Shadow is not there, and it all goes wrong yet again. Let's hope this continues for LEP. I think Dead Man's Hand clearly are reading at the moment, which is really positive. Something we've never seen in LEP. What do you think?
Well, yeah, you know, for 9 months we were being hounded. We were being taken out, and all of our top stars were being, you know, taken out, and, you know, matches were being interfered with. You know, shows were starting to go downhill. So now that the Master of Shadows doesn't seem to be turning up or invested in his own group, who knows? I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking, but either way, like I say, stay away from LEP because we are getting the wins and we are starting to win against Dead Man's Hand.
Yeah, it's definitely positive. Out stepped Danny Walsh then and announced that he thought that the firm was rather short of members and he thought Mark Walsh would be a good member. And he asked Vinny if Mark could join the firm. Mark said yes. Mark grabbed the t-shirt and that was a fantastic feel-good moment. So Mark Walsh is now part of the firm and it's now once again a three-man stable. They've really done well out of the ashes of where they were to come back. And I think Mark Walsh as an acquisition, the firm, is a major signing. What do you reckon? A major statement of intent.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Vinny promised he'd rebuild the firm, and that's exactly what he's doing. Do not forget, Reggie Ryan either is also a part of the firm, another member. So 3 members now we have of the firm, and that was more than what he had when it was just him and Jago. So the firm's getting stronger and it's getting bigger.
Yeah, definitely positive, and that match to happen in future is going to be a really exciting match. Danny then made a shocking announcement that involves you, Jonjo. He then announced, due to all your hard work, your commitment, and continue the amount of time you spend within LEP and the stuff you do, you're now going to be the general manager. Any comments, boss?
Yeah, it's still I'm still speechless when people talk to me because people say. They say, oh, wrestling's fake. Oh, what you guys doing? Oh, it's scripted, all this kind of stuff. No, I had no clue. I had no idea that Danny, was going to announce that. I thought maybe Danny was coming out to step up against Dead Man's Hand, but it didn't. It went a completely different turning. I thought we were going right, and then we went left. So. Yeah, I'm honoured. I will be honest. I'm very honoured to be the general manager. And, I've come into, I've been made general manager at a very difficult time when there's 2 tournaments going on. There's Dead Man's Hand to deal with. I've got people, asking to be in the tournament all the time. And it's like, geez, just let me deal with this, please. Everything will come to light. Everything will be, when the dust settles, that's when I will start making announcements. And talking about announcements, seeing as we've had our little show review and, all that, there will be one more thing that's happening. Ooh. Now, I am yet to announce myself as general manager. So what I thought I would do is on either Sunday or Tuesday, it will be out by Wednesday or Thursday, let's put it this way, be a quick video, and I'm going to address the problems in LEP. I'm going to also I'm going to address Dead Man's Hand. I'm going to address the LEP Championship Tournament. I'm also going to address the LEP Tag Team Championship Tournament because obviously we started it in Newton Abbot. We didn't have any tag team tournament matches at the Windmill Centre this past Sunday. So I will be addressing that as well, and it is going to be my State of LEP video.
Looking forward to that. What does the sort of acquisition of yourself as general manager bring to LEP? What's going to be different?
Not a lot of people know that when I first started out, before I even hunted for an academy or somewhere to learn, there's this great, and I recommend it to anyone, whether you are just starting out in your career or whether you are looking for a career in the wrestling business. I highly recommend a School of Wrestling Knowledge. It's online based. It's a fantastic. It was set up and run by Alex Shane, who's a very, very phenomenal talent. And it gives you so much information on what to do in the back. Now that's what I did in the background, and that's what I decided to learn. So I learned that it must have been about 12 months. I still use it now, now and again I will still use it because you can have memberships that set you up for 3 months, 6 months. You choose the top package and you get a one-on-one Skype, sort of like a mentor. Yeah, that's it, mentor. So you'll have someone mentor you through Skype. The last time I was on it, you could choose from either Doug Williams, female wrestler Winter, Alex Shane, or I can't remember the fourth one. There was a fourth. And And yeah, there's so much for you to do on it. You know, you get mock tests, you get videos, exclusive videos that will only be on School of Wrestling Knowledge, giving you advice on how to improve in your career or how to start off in your career. So it's a fantastic place to go. And I started off with that, and I learned a hell of a lot through that, and then through Danny's mentoring, and I've worked under Danny for we'll be coming up 2 years this year. So I feel I've got the right mind for it. I've always had a mind for business, especially entertainment, because I used to be a DJ and run my own business as well. So I've had a lot of that. Obviously, wrestling is going to be a very different for me, but I feel I've been studying, you know, the wrestling industry, and I've been in it for 2 years now. So I feel that I can do a good job as general manager.
Definitely. I think what I would say as well is a rather fantastic appointment. I hope that we can do these monthly shows with you still. I hope you'll still get time to fit us in here at SCW. Can we still rely on you to come on monthly with the lowdown of what's going on in LEP and our show reviews?
Oh, I've always got time for you guys. You know that. I've always got time for SCW podcast.
Brilliant. And I was going to say, I'm going to make one last thing now. I do have to say, you did come up with a comment at the show that you said you're going to somehow control Dead Man's Hand. Any clues of how you might do that, or are we going to have to wait to your sort of announcement?
No, we don't have to wait until the announcement. I said, you know, Dead Man's Hand will get what they deserve, and by God, that's what's going to happen. So I'm, you know, what my plan is to unite the LEP roster. That's all I'm going to say for now. The rest will be addressed in my video, which will either be recorded Sunday or Tuesday. But it's time to unite the LEP roster.
Sounds fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on this evening, General Manager of LEP, and thank you very much for your time, Jonjo. It's been a rather fascinating interview and rather fascinating review. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, thank you, George, and thank you for doing these monthly podcasts.
No problem. Have a good evening. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, George.
Thank you all for listening. Bye-bye.